This episode is powered by Poddex.
Well, Stan, we talk a little bit about how collecting can go wrong and sometimes the dark side of collecting. But on the upside, we get to show what's underneath this mask. New has aspired. Something new. I feel, my head feels like a pound lighter. Ow. It's precious, it's fleeting. The whole pound lighter.
It's all gray.
Thanks. Welcome to BestowCast. Maybe we should say the show. Officially named BestowCast. This is our official first episode. Officially. There was a small tidbit that I want to talk about, and we did this twice now. Is dealing with things that were improperly stored. So, what was your thoughts of dealing with things that were improperly stored?
Gross.
Gross comes from the person who ate one of the things out of the improperly stored stuff.
Crusty.
I mean, it's here to show, and I kind of want to, I want to kind of like teach people, I guess. Like not everybody has the high grade storage. Unfortunately, I'm kind of one of those people. So is there something to learn? Do you think that we taught people something about it, or do you think we at least made fun of ourselves for it?
Well, if people don't want their stuff to like end up like crusty and dusty and gross.
I mean, you got to consider that stuff was in there since '95, and then I went away to college, and I pretty much didn't live here for almost like 20 years. So, I mean, it's just not. I mean, and there's stuff that's not even my collection that others have given me that are kind of the same way. They were just stored in boxes, thinking, oh, it'll be fine, and then mice get into the boxes. And I hate to. The toy itself coming out, the toy is fine.
Right.
I mean, it's stored properly.
If you want to keep the box nice, then there's something else that you gotta do. But in all, the toys are fine.
I think also the show of the times, though, too, is like nowadays, people make things to help store. Mm-hmm. Like I have stuff that I want to order off of for the Black Series, the Marvel boxes up there, the ones that aren't going to be open, and they pretty much seal them in. You just put them in a plastic sleeve and seal them in. Kyra's asked me for boxes they have plastic boxes for pop figures too, because she's like, oh well, there's the thing of taking the pop figures out, having them on the stand, and then they just get dusty and crusty and dirty, or leaving them in the box and then.
Box just gets crusty.
Box gets crusty dust, but then it's like then
easier to clean than.
I guess. Is it?
I mean, it's just like just a plastic box you put them in. So while a pop would have like all them little like curves and nooks and crannies that you don't know what's in there, a box you just like.
I guess. I mean, there are people that are more anal retentive than most of us. There are people that are just normal. And won't just let something sit on the shelves for months on end. I mean, I'll admit I'm horrible at that. I don't, I think that's almost the reason why I came up with the video cast and the podcast is that I have an excuse to clean them beforehand because it's like, oh, they're dirty. We gotta clean these beforehand. And now we got to the X-Files stuff, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to show them as is. I mean, this is what happens when you don't properly take care of this stuff, and this is what happens when you kind of ignore a collection. Like it's kind of one of the things where it's like, I went on and had kids and got married and everything else. So the least thing on my mind was the X-Files stuff, and and it was also like stuff that was being moved without like my awareness. So the so much for keeping the backings all kind of nice and straight and everything because they were just kind of munched. Yeah. And it also such sanitizing. It was like 95. I graduated high school in 95, so I was roughly your age in 95. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're a responsible person at that age. because I used to buy comic books, and I used to have, like, I had the 5th edition of, it was the 5th print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. Like, that is, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, the first print is expensive. 5th print, it's still a $20 book. I used to roll that up, walk around, stuff it in my back pocket, walk around town, get to wherever I am, take it out of my pocket, read it, roll it up, put it back in my pocket. A lot of my collections were like that. I was, I wasn't about, like, it wasn't about bagging and boarding now. And now I feel like I'm on the opposite end, where everything has to be bagged and boarded and sealed and everything. And I know what happens to my collection if you let it go. But I also kind of feel like I don't enjoy that collection either. When I go to the comic book store and I'm instantly bagged, board, and it's in a box, and then I don't want to read it because I might get all greasy with my hands and everything. So it's like almost kind of the opposite, where you don't enjoy it. Like we were talking about with some of these things, where they should come out of the box, because otherwise they sit in a storage container. They get like that because I'm not really, I don't have them on a shelf to enjoy them. But they sit in a box, and then the box gets jumbled around like 50 times. Yeah, it's raining out, so it's hitting the air conditioner.
Hearing it.
So it gets so the stuff gets moved around, and then it just gets all dented up and dinged up anyway. And I'm like, I don't really feel like, if everything's in a box, I don't really feel like I'm enjoying it either. So I don't know.
If everything's in a box,
I think
you don't even get to look at it.
It's learning responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you feel? I mean, half of your collection is here. Of pretty much everything.
That is very true. The stuff that I do have, I'd like to think that I take, like, at least, like, kind of good care of. Like,
you say as I'm like going nuts about Chief Hopper. I'm like, don't lose the hands. Oh, he's fine. He's okay. He's all right. 3-point shot.
because I know where things go when they get lost.
Meanwhile, I'm schizo about that because I've lost things doing, like, just not really, like, taking, even if I have taken care of it and I still lose something, and then I'm like, oh, I lost that thing.
I'd literally just pass away if I lost anything of Hopper's because I love him so much. He gets thrown off of my dresser a lot because my cat is a brat and she likes to jump up on my dresser and she sits up there and she goes and, like, knocks all my stuff around.
Yeah, ask my lightsaber what cats do.
And she goes up there and she'll, like, knock stuff over. And Pancake is just a tyrant. He jumps up there and he's so freaking dopic that he just knocks everything over around him. But I haven't lost anything yet. Yet. Probably due to the fact that a lot of things fall off of my dresser, so I know the general area that it would be at if it fell off.
Like, I want to do an episode where we start digging out some of the 95 figures and compare them to the 77 figures. As a matter of fact, today I just bought that one action figure that I want to compare to both the 95 edition and the 77 edition, which I own both of. But it's a lot of that stuff throughout the ages. I don't even know where, like, the guns are and everything. I have, that's my Stan Lee cup that you look in there and there's just nothing but weapons inside of it. There's like a head. There's weapons. I think my Doctor Strange cup is like that too, where I need to. And the thing is like I don't have no way of identifying who that goes to, so I don't even know who those go to sometimes. I've been looking at things online where, like, people have gotten, like, kits, so I think they're for like a cross stitch or whatever. So they're like a little box when it's split up, maybe even like fishing lures or whatever, and they just kind of just put each person's weapons in each individual thing. Because I foresee that happening once I start opening up those G.I. Joes.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of things that.
Yeah, like I'm going to ultimately end up deciding who's going to get what permanently, and that's all that they're going to have. And then I have all the, because, like, what is it, that Red Ninja. Sorry, we're looking off camera, but the Red Ninja has like a bow staff. He's got 2 hatchets. A katana, 2 hatchets, 2 sais, and 2. I don't know what they're used for. Their real use is for, like, harvesting rice, but they're weapons as well, because ninjas are kind of based off of working class.
Like he's got 2 hands. He's gonna hold maybe like 2 things.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna like
and I think
throw the rest of them.
I think maybe the idea is that you know, well, he's a trooper, so the idea is you're going to buy a bunch of those, but then you're going to have a whole bunch of those extras too. I guess, I mean, I've seen people make kind of weapon racks, and they kind of hang the weapon racks behind them and stuff, so it would look cool. But yeah, I don't know, like, you know, and then like Storm Shadow there, he has a sword, 1 arrow out, 1 bow, and then he has the quiver of arrows and stuff, and then the grappling hook, and he's not gonna have all that stuff on him. Yeah.
You're gonna have to start like cutting up tiny little pieces of like sticky notes and like writing them and wrapping them around them.
And it's like, you know, for as hard it is to find all that stuff, and then it's like, oh, once it's open, you know, that's the glory of like keeping it in its box because everything stays together. But I kind of want to have them out because I want to make action scenes and stuff. I want to have them like look like they're fighting each other. I mean, one of the things that we've been chasing is the deluxe Mando, the deluxe Din Djarin. And I think my time has passed, like, because most of that I've read was that he was a Target exclusive. And as we know, the current Target exclusive, well, he's not even a Target exclusive because we see him in other stores. But the current deluxe figure that is out is Jar Jar Binks. So I'm pretty sure the Mando was before Jar Jar, and I think that they ran their stock out, and then we're up to Jar Jar. Well, we're not even due Jar Jar. Jar Jar's gone now. Now we've got deluxe Boba out. He comes with, it's him in the silver armor. It's Grogu in his little floating nest box, and then it's like all these little tiny things. So it's like the Beskar armor, the little like trinkets, and there's like a little fob, and there's like a crap ton of all these little tiny trinkets where I'm like, as soon as I open that up, all that's going to be gone. I am not going to have any clue on it. Meanwhile, on my shelf is that I have the original Din in his original armor, and I have Baby Grogu, who also has little tiny stuff. He has the little tiny frogs that I'm going to lose. And I'm like, why can't that be enough? You know, I mean, I probably would get just as much enjoyment out of that than having to pay 4 times as much on the shelf for the silver. I mean, basically the only thing that's really truly different is Grogu comes in the floating thing, and then all the Beskar are the little tiny trinkets, but I don't know.
Someday Bryce is gonna get up there and knock over your cup full of weapons.
I'm actually thinking of eliminating part of the shelf and making the shelf just a little bit shorter so that he has a huge gap to have to jump, and maybe he won't jump it. He hasn't discovered that there's a shelf over there yet. He hasn't really messed with that shelf back there yet. However, the shelf that's behind this curtain, I just yelled at him the other night because he was knocking things off of the shelf, and you know, we've discovered that he's been eating things.
Yeah,
so,
we're talking about you back there. He knows. He's listening to us.
Surprised he's not flat out in the middle of the table here. So this looks like a good time to wrap out. We'll probably think about our collection some more. And we'll be right back after this break.
This episode is powered by Poddex. Poddex are unique interview questions and episode starting prompts in the palm of your hand. So whether you're a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and have more meaningful conversations, you're going to want to check out Poddex. Now, if you want to get 10% off your order right now, you can go to poddex.com and type in coupon code. What's the code?
Bestow TV 21.
Yes, that's the code. Check out poddex.com. Take your podcast to the next level.
We're extending our discussion. Oh. We use the rubber gloves to not touch the...
Mine are inside out.
Yeah, well, mine aren't, because I put them back on because we needed to do close-ups. So you're getting the full fungus. You're getting the fungus among us.
No.
You're gonna grow.
I'm gonna die.
You're gonna grow. You're gonna die of X-File lung.
The people in the book.
What book? The book?
The horror book.
The horror book? The Book of the Damned?
The Star Wars horror.
Kalata, Verada, Nick 2?
I'm gonna die like them.
So, oh yeah, she's, what's the name of the book? Cue them in, come on.
Death Troopers.
Death Troopers.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about this. The Death Troopers was
It's so good.
the first kind of horror that takes place in the Star Wars galaxy. But of course, I've got 5 years to read 12 chapters of my book. So she's like, I'm just gonna read this in the meantime and see if I can beat you. And I haven't even picked up the other book yet because I have Thrawn. I have the Thrawn book. And then I have the sequel to the Thrawn book, and then the third one to the Thrawn book has just come out. So I have 3 Thrawn books to read before I can even get to that. And I only have 2 of them. I haven't even bought the third Thrawn book. I think Dark Alliance is the second one, I believe.
I've been reading it for 2 days. I'm on page 100.
I think you're still past where I'm only like, I think when I flipped through it was like chapter 12 or whatever. And that book I haven't gone back to read because sometimes it deals with like the politics. And so it's like boring shit.
I don't know how many pages there are, but I was like halfway through it, I think, like 2 days.
Well, there's other books. I have legacy books over there too. I mean, technically that's now a legacy book because Disney got rid of them. So I get that. I mean, we just loan you my Thrawn book, see if you can finish it before. Like, I'm not going to read this. Going back to collections and everything, so here's a thought that I had. So when you guys were kids, it was kind of easier to get you toys because basically when you were kids, you got whatever Dad was interested in. So you got Star Wars. You and Kyra got Star Wars toys. You got Marvel toys all the time. And at some point in time, we all kind of got our favorite toys. So Kyra was always in this Spider-Man, so she always got Spider-Man. You originally were into Iron Man, so you used to get Iron Man all the time, and then eventually you got Doctor Strange stuff. Yeah. Your mom has Incredible Hulk stuff, and then of course have Wolverine stuff, and then anything else that's Marvel. But it's kind of weird because you guys growing out of it, and when you grow out of it, it comes here to die. It doesn't go to the Goodwill or anything. It still comes here. And I always kind of had that feeling, especially when I would buy like gifts for your mom. Like, cause I bring back, she has stuff that was like New York Comic Con exclusive. It's like, I forget what it's called, but it's the hybrid Hulk. So he's half the green Hulk, half the red Hulk, which makes no sense because those are 2 separate characters. But they did one when he was half green on one side and half red on the other side.
I don't even know where that is.
And just recently, like, she's always said about not having Castle Grayskull when she grew up, so we got her a lot of the stuff that I don't know. And this is the thing I always think about is like, well, I don't even know if you guys really care about any of that stuff. So it's like the old classic television where like, Ralph Cramden or Fred Flintstone or even up to Homer Simpson, would think that the interest of the other person would be, I like bowling, so I'm going to buy you a bowling ball, which ultimately usually the scam is that they think that they're going to get the bowling ball back. And I almost feel like it's like that with you guys where I'm getting something that I'm into, but I'm kind of getting it to share, not so much for the underscore of, I'm going to get this back someday. I don't necessarily want it back. I wanted something to just enjoy with everybody else. What did you guys ever think or feel about that?
I can't remember back then.
Well, just coming from what I just said.
Wasn't paying attention.
Of course. I mean, I know things with like your mom; they just instantly get packed in a box. So I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm making a misstep where I probably should get something more of her interests. But sometimes when I ask her, it's like, I don't know, whatever.
There's a couple of things that she has up for stuff like that Happy Pop that you got for her birthday one time. She has that up.
I didn't get her the Happy Pop.
You did. Oh.
I got her the Rock. And I have no idea where the Rock is. I got her the Rock Pop.
Why is the Happy one up there?
I think Kyra got her the Happy Pop because it's a joke that her and Kyra share, and I think she got her the Happy Pop.
I don't know where it came from.
I got her the Rock Pop, which was another joke because she likes the Rock, and I've never seen the Rock anywhere.
You would think that she'd like have that one up of all things. She's got the happy one up. She has like stuff that we've gotten her, not so much you. As sad as that is. There's a couple of things that I've seen that she usually has up, but for the most part,
Right.
I really haven't seen much.
I mean, my thoughts, again, it's just like the whole Ralph Cramden, Fred Flintstone, Homer Simpsons, where it's like, maybe it's not the proper thing. Because, where it's different for like the kids, where it's like, we're all trying to enjoy something together. Mm-hmm. And then eventually when you guys grow into having choices of what you like, oh, I'm into My Little Pony, well, then you get the My Little Pony and stuff. No, I want the... But hell, I mean, even that, you get the My Little Pony comic books, your My Little Pony collection is here. Mm-hmm. your DS collection is here. Mm-hmm. Your everybody, both you and Kyra's, well, her collection, your comic collection is here too. Not just, we have the sealed clamshell stuff that's a little bit more value. Mm-hmm. That's here whenever. You guys can have it whenever, but it's here forever. And it's also like the same thing where it's like, when it comes to the end of my time, all that stuff becomes your guys's to argue with. And it's like, you guys gonna ever feel like any of that's precious, or is Stan Lee here just gonna end up in a Goodwill?
No. He can sit and do yoga.
There's the collectors and there's the value of it, but there's also a little bit more behind the scenes kind of stuff to it too.
Like the emotional value.
Mm-hmm. It's like the did I talk about this on the podcast or I don't know. Lobo and I said we were going to sell a shirt that says, did I talk about this on the podcast? But like the Wolverine issue number 1 that I have has some background value to it, as in on top of the value of itself, to the point that I bought a second version of that, but got the original version that I owned, even though it was a worse condition. I got that one graded because I just wanted to maintain it, because the story was that I was collecting the collector cards, and they had those cards on there with the values on the back. Mm-hmm. So I knew what it was worth based off this collector card, but I wasn't really into comics then. I was just into the cards. And I love that cover. It's the cover with Wolverine has his claws out, and he's going like this with the other hand. And he's got the hood down so you can see his big bushy hair and the mutton chops and everything else. And when we went to the Lewisburg flea market, the guy had it there for sale for $15. Mm-hmm. Which I think at that time was like half of what that card was telling me. And I had to borrow the money for it. And I had to borrow it from my grandmother. And she made sure I paid every penny of it. I had to pay it back. But to this date, that is my favorite cover. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorites. That even when they knock it off, like when they do a mock of it, I'll buy the mock-up of it constantly. But I really like that cover. But then there's the whole story behind that too, where it's like, well, I made sure to pay off my debt and to earn that cover. So I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that would probably have, Stan Lee here probably has more sentimental value than. But yeah. Input. You and Kai are gonna fight over a superhero squad. You're gonna fight over that Galactus that I swore that you guys had to have, and I don't think anybody ever touched it.
I used to look at it all the time. It was in the office when you were still at the house. And
yeah, because by that time you guys had already discarded it. So it was him and both of the Sentinels. There's only one Sentinel's there and the other Sentinel's there. So. And
I used to whenever I'd come in and hang out with you, I'd always look at them and I'd always take them down. Sometimes I'd look at them. And
well, they were always also in the office, even though you guys discarded them. They were there to still be played with. Even when Willow used to come around, we used to get all that stuff out and play. And when your uncle used to come over with his little kids, we used to always get them out and play. As a matter of fact, I think when his kids were growing up, that we always bought them Superhero Squad for Christmas. I mean, that bled over to the cartoon. When they made a cartoon of it, we all watched that cartoon before getting on the bus. That I put you on the bus, and then I would come down and I would finish that cartoon, and then I'd go to work.
It's like, do you remember the little train tracks that we had?
The Geo tracks.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of people addicted to those.
Oh my God. Yeah. There was Willow
And thanks
used
to
to like them. I loved them. Kyra and I used to just build them all the time. And the two, when we were getting our roof done, when they used to bring their little boys over for me to watch while they were doing
the
roof, they would always be like, can we get the trains out?
Totally.
And I was like, yeah, let's get the trains out.
Oh yeah, well you add the trains, and then you add the father with the collector, the collector's personality that you must have every single one, and you have the grandmother with the open wallet of like, I'm going to help you get every single one because they need every single one. And I think there's even like geotracks in here that are still in the box. We just have to find them. Because I think the breaking point with us, and I always say, I'll come back to this, but the breaking point was that when it used to be trains, but then it became cars and then planes and everything else, and then it just started to get, that's when it gets to be too much, where you just start to get into all this other things. And I was going to come back, that's usually a breaking point. Like when I did Star Wars, it was fine when it's like you had like maybe 3 waves coming out per quarter or whatever. You know, that's fine. When you've got like 16 different waves, it becomes too much. You know, as far as a collector goes, that's way too much. Yeah. And I kind of foresee what's going to happen with the G.I. Joes. That's kind of why I said I didn't want every G.I. Joe. I just wanted the G.I. Joes that mattered to me versus every G.I. Joe, because what's going to happen, I mean, it's already happening. They have Cobra Isle. Cobra Isle's a Target exclusive. Nobody but collectors, like nobody but scalpers. I mean, scalpers go and they try to beat out the collectors, and then they go and they pick it up and they sell them up there, sell them on eBay for like $600, whatever. And it's just like, well, the completionist in me wants all the pieces. Scalpers ruin that for me, and I don't want to encourage that behavior. So that's why I tend have a tendency to say, well, this is my limit. You know, if I'm going to buy deluxe Dijin Dijarin, I mean, there's another example. It's like, you know, I want the 6-foot stuff, or the 6-inch stuff.
6 feet. Oh, Jesus.
That would be awesome.
Oh my God.
If I would get the 6-inch stuff, it was fine when it was the black box. Here comes the cat.
Hey, man.
It was fine when it was the black box, but then we come out with the deluxe figures. And the deluxe figures, you know, good luck. You know, maybe it'll be, you know, you didn't get Dijin? Well, that's too bad. You know, Dijin came out during the plague? Too bad. That's your problem. And now it's like, well, that figure on the shelf is about $30. Am I willing to pay 60? Am I willing to pay 75? Am I willing to pay 100? You know, it's like, well, where's that limited? And not only that, but then it's like, will you pay 100 and then $20 shipping for something that costs like $5 to ship? So it's just like, it's like, well, that kind of ruins the collecting for me. Where it's like, well, you know, it's the fun of the chase and the fun of hunting it. And when somebody kind of just snipes that and turns around and then tries to scalp it and tries to pick your pockets over, it's just not that fun. And I kind of feel like G.I. Joe is going to get that way, because even at this point, we're getting to where we have almost every piece. It's the troopers that are problematic, and the troopers are built so you buy multiple copies of them, because you're building a troop, you're building a fleet. So people are buying 2, 3, 4, or whatever on top of the scalpers, by doing that and then preying on the people that do that. And I'm like, I just want one. I just want one. I want the one that's in the regular set. I want the Cobra Isle one, and then I want the Viper, which is Cobra Isle. But yeah, good luck, because it's like, you're fighting with people who want the troop build and then want to otherwise they want to scalp. But we are about over. We're a little bit over, but that's okay. What did we learn today?
Bryce is loud when he eats.
Okay, Bryce is loud when he eats. We will see you next time on BestowCast. Almost said the wrong show. Bye.